Welcome back. I welcome all of you. I am Jobayad. I hope you are all doing well and staying on the side of goodness. I am also doing well and staying on the side of goodness. We are going into a new incident. I will read exactly the way it is written. Behind the house was the Gulkibari Graveyard, the sound of drums in the silence of the night, and a mysterious boy who appeared again and again. Was he really a human being? Or was he something else? Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ariba Tasim. I currently live in Italy. This incident happened around 35 to 40 years ago. We moved from Kishoreganj to Mimensingh. At that time, the population of Mimensingh had increased a lot. Through someone he knew, my father bought a house in the Gulkibari area. One of the main reasons for buying that house was that the owners did not ask my father to pay the full amount at once. Instead, they agreed to receive the money in installments. The seller urgently needed money, and my father needed a house. That is how the agreement happened. My father handled everything related to buying and seeing the house because my mother was resting at home due to the arrival of a new family member and the doctor's advice. Actually, she spent most of her time resting because from a very young age, all the household responsibilities were placed on us. We were 5 sisters. I was the eldest. After me were Adiba, Zia, Faiza, and Rita. For some reason, my mother strongly believed that we would have a brother. She had even seen dreams about it many times. The real reason for changing houses was to escape the problems of living in a joint family. The previous house was small, but there were too many people. Because of this, arguments happened almost every day for one reason or another. One day, after a major argument, my father finally decided to leave that house. And at exactly that time, by coincidence, my father found this new house. My father did not give the address of this house to anyone. The packing for shifting was completed in only 2 days. After that, we got into our vehicle and moved to our new house. As soon as we entered the house, all of us sisters became extremely happy. This beautifully built house was now only ours. Here, no one would scold us for shouting or playing. Here, our aunts would not make us do their household work. There were a total of 5 rooms downstairs. The ground floor of the house was completely finished and properly built, but some work was still unfinished on the upper floor. There was no electricity connection there yet. However, my father had connected a wire and installed one light bulb upstairs. The stairs leading to the roof still did not have railings, and there were no doors either. We sisters walked around and explored the entire house. Everyone was jumping with happiness, but when we went to the roof and looked behind the house, our happiness faded a little. From our house, the Gulkibari Graveyard could be seen very clearly. It was right behind our house. At that time, the area around the graveyard was not as crowded as it is today. The old trees were still there, but after all, a graveyard is a graveyard. Since I was the eldest and a little more mature, I took my sisters downstairs. My only thought was that fear should not enter their minds. The first day in this house went very well, but in the middle of the night, my sisters woke up because of the loud barking of dogs. The sound was coming from behind the house. Because her sleep was disturbed, Rita became annoyed, so I made her sleep beside me. Even after so much noise, all my sisters except me fell asleep again. The continuous barking of the dogs slowly moved farther away, and after that, I also fell asleep. For a few days, everything continued normally. Following my mother's instructions, we arranged and decorated the house nicely. One day, my mother stood beside me and made semolina halwa. She poured it into several bowls and decorated them with nuts. My mother wanted to send those bowls of halwa to the neighbors. During Asr time, Ariba and I covered our heads with scarves, took the tray, and went out into the neighborhood to distribute the halwa. We gave halwa to 4 or 5 houses and introduced ourselves. That day, we came to know that 2 houses beside us were abandoned. That day was the first time we properly explored our street. Our house was the last house on that road. After our house, there was nothing else. It was a dead-end street. The wall at the end of that dead-end street was also broken. On the other side of that broken wall was the same graveyard that we could see from our roof. Beside that wall, several dogs were sitting. They were surely the same dogs that disturbed our sleep at night. 2 bowls of halwa were left. Before entering the house, I do not know what came to my mind, but I picked up a plastic sheet lying on the ground. I cleaned it and spread the halwa on it. Then I placed the halwa in front of those dogs from a little distance. They were truly hungry. Ariba and I stood far away and happily watched those dogs eating the halwa. After that, this became our daily routine. Whenever I made bread, the pieces that became a little thick remained slightly uncooked, or the edges that my younger sisters left behind, I started tearing them into small pieces and giving them to those dogs. They became quite familiar with us, and now we did not hear their barking much at night. My father used to go to work, my mother rested, and we sisters remained busy with household work. We had no opportunity for entertainment like watching television. My father had not admitted us to school yet. In the afternoon, we sisters started going to the roof. My mother had strictly instructed us not to look toward the graveyard behind the house, but we still secretly looked there and stood watching for quite a long time. To us, that place seemed very peaceful. One day, we became a little scared. That day, we saw a dead body being buried. I moved away from there with my sisters and came downstairs. After that, we did not go to the roof for 2 days. When we went again on the 3rd day, we became so busy playing that we completely forgot about the time. It became quite late. My mother was not feeling well, so she was sleeping. Otherwise, she would definitely have called us down. When the Maghrib prayer call started, we quickly ran downstairs. Everyone went down the stairs. While going downstairs, my hair kept falling over my face again and again. Then I suddenly remembered that I had left my hair clip on the edge of the roof. I went back upstairs to get that clip. While picking it up, without realizing it, I raised my head and looked toward the graveyard. I saw a boy standing a little distance away from our house. He was looking up directly toward our house. I became extremely scared. At that time, there was no one around that place at all. So how did this boy come there? Leaving the clip there, I ran downstairs. My heart was beating very fast. After coming downstairs, I forgot about the incident after a while. That day, my father was very late coming home. He usually returned after Maghrib, but that day it became 10 p.m., and there was still no sign of him. My mother and all of us became worried. It was an unfamiliar area, and there was no male person with us at home. The more time passed, the more our worries increased. My mother repeatedly told me, "Go and check if someone knocked on the door." Every time I opened the door and checked, but nobody was there. The dogs we used to feed would get up and come toward me whenever I opened the door. Maybe they thought I had brought food for them, or maybe they also understood my worries. The very last time I went to check, tears came into my eyes. Through my blurry eyes, I felt like the same boy I had seen during Maghrib was standing in front of me. I became frightened, closed the door, and quickly ran back inside. But at that moment, I did not tell anyone anything. Time passed from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Rita started crying while calling for father. My mother tried to comfort her. Suddenly, I really heard a knocking sound on the door. I got up, and this time, I took Ariba with me. We ran to the door. When we opened it, we saw an unknown man standing there. He had brought news about my father. He told us that my father was stuck somewhere. He had sent a message saying that no one should worry and that he would return soon. Without asking who that man was or what had actually happened, I happily ran back to my mother. When we told my mother that father was fine and would come back soon, she first became very happy and relieved. But when she heard all the details, she immediately rushed outside to look for that man. However, there was no one outside. My mother became worried and said that we should have invited him inside immediately, no matter what. Still, for the moment, all of us felt relieved. All of my sisters slept beside my mother. At the time of the Fajr prayer call, someone knocked on our door. Everyone woke up. Whoever came was knocking on the door very impatiently. As soon as we opened the door, happiness filled the house. My father had returned, but he was walking with some difficulty. Maybe he was injured. He was extremely worried about us, and we were also worried about him. Actually, my father had an accident. His motorcycle had overturned, and he had fallen into some bushes. It happened around the time of the Maghrib prayer call. He had lost consciousness. When he regained consciousness, he was still lying there in the darkness and praying that Allah would safely return him to us. His prayer was accepted. Somehow, 2 people appeared from somewhere and took my father to the hospital. His wounds were bandaged, and then they brought him back home. When we told my father that we had already received news about him, he became very surprised. He had not sent anyone. He also did not know the people who took him to the hospital. Anyway, our family was saved from this danger. In the morning, my father called one of his friends. They went to bring back his vehicle and sent it to the garage. The people who went to get the vehicle said that someone had already lifted it up and placed it properly beside the road. This incident made my father think deeply. He realized that there was no one except him to look after us. He became very worried. First of all, my father hurried and arranged a telephone connection for our house. It was the old type of telephone where you had to put your finger into the dial and rotate it to call someone. This was also a very good change for us. Now we had a phone at home. At that time, all the hospital responsibilities were on my father's shoulders. My father had already decided that whenever he went to the hospital, he would take his daughters with him. From my mother's side of the family, we only had one aunt, but she lived in Trishul. We also had not seen her for a long time. My mother called her, and she promised that she would come. This was also very good news for us, because the people from my father's family were so quarrelsome that my father himself had moved away from them. However, in this full household, during difficult times, at least we had the comfort of knowing that we were not completely alone. A solution to the problem had been found. Even if my aunt did not come, my father would have taken us with him. During this time, I did not see that boy from the graveyard again. I had almost forgotten about him. We also could not go to the roof like before. Our books had arrived, and my father strictly instructed us that we had to study every day, so it would be easier to get admitted into school. After that, something strange started happening frequently. I would often wake up at night. It felt like someone had just left the room. Sometimes it felt like someone was standing near my head while I was sleeping. One night, I suddenly woke up. The entire house was completely silent. But in that silence, a faint sound was echoing. Dum! Dum! It sounded like someone was beating a drum from far away. At first, I tried to convince myself that maybe it was just my imagination. But slowly, the sound became clearer. I quietly got up and went near the door. At that moment, Ariba also woke up. She could hear that sound too. Both of us guessed that the sound was coming from behind the house, from the graveyard. We became curious. If I had been alone, maybe I would not have had the courage to go. But when Ariba also said, "Let's go and see," both of us quietly walked up to the roof. Everyone else was in a deep sleep. One comforting thing was that the light bulb upstairs was on, so it was not completely dark. As soon as we reached the roof and stepped onto it, we felt a cold sensation. It actually felt quite pleasant. From there, the sound of the drums was very clear. Our guess was completely right. The sound was coming from the direction of the graveyard. Both of us went near the wall and looked over. We saw small flickering lights toward the front side of the graveyard. The sound of the drums was also coming from there. Except for those lights, we could not see anything else. The lights were moving. It looked like some kind of group or caravan was passing by. We could not understand what it actually was. While we were watching everything, my eyes suddenly noticed something. It was that same boy standing near our house. He was looking upward. My mind became completely blank. At that exact moment, a dog appeared from somewhere and started barking while looking upward. Seeing that dog, the other dogs also started doing the same thing. Ariba said, "Look at what they are doing. We feed them every day, and now they are barking at us." She picked up a stone and threw it toward them. But instead of running away, they started making even more noise. I was standing there with a completely empty mind, only staring at the place where that boy was standing. The sound of the drums and the barking of the dogs. I could not hear anything anymore. Suddenly, we both became shocked after hearing my father's voice. "Ariba! Ariba! Come downstairs!" We both became scared and ran downstairs. While running, I looked back once. At that moment, that boy was nowhere to be seen. When we came downstairs, we saw Father standing near the stairs, extremely angry. Seeing his anger, we became terrified. He only said one thing: "From today, never go upstairs at night again." That was all. After saying this, he went back to his room. Both of us quickly ran back to our room. Thankfully, Father did not say anything more than that. We could not understand how Father knew that we were upstairs because he never came to our room at night. Whatever the reason was, my mind was still stuck on that boy. That night, I finally told Ariba that I sometimes saw a boy like that. After listening to me, she said, "Ariba, your hair is very beautiful. That day you were standing on the roof with your hair open during the prayer call. Surely, some Jinn has become attached to you." After hearing this, I became frightened. But our real fear was about Father. Although he did not say anything more that night, we were sure that he would scold us in the morning. While talking about these things, both of us fell asleep. But the next morning, nothing like that happened. Instead, Father was completely normal. Like every day, he was talking with Mother about regular household matters, what food was available at home, and what was not. Ariba and I were surprised. Father was acting as if nothing had happened last night. Ariba could not control her curiosity. When Father was leaving the house, she called him and stopped him. She asked, "Father, are you angry with me and Ariba?" Father became very surprised and asked, "Why?" In reply, Ariba told him, "Because we went to the roof at night." I was standing aside and carefully watching Father. The expression on his face clearly showed that he had no idea about last night's incident. father was getting late, so he only said, "Never go there again at night. I will talk about this when I return in the evening." When father came home in the evening, he was in a great hurry. He told us that he had to go for some urgent work. Because of that, we could not talk with father about the incident. That night, when we went to sleep, I do not know why, but I kept waking up again and again. It felt like there was a lot of noise around me. I heard different kinds of sounds, but whenever I opened my eyes, I could not hear anything anymore. Around midnight, I saw a very strange dream. In my dream, all of us sisters were standing on the roof. We were looking toward the graveyard, and all of us were crying uncontrollably. When I woke up, my whole body was covered in sweat. I was extremely scared. Suddenly, I heard my father calling me, "Ariba! Ariba!" I quickly got up and ran to him. My mother's condition was very bad. Father told me that we had to take mother to the hospital immediately. He told me to bring my sisters with us. I quickly woke everyone up. We helped mother sit in the front, and all of us sisters sat in the back of the vehicle. My sisters were still half asleep. My eyes were fixed on our house as it slowly disappeared behind us. Once again, I saw that same boy for a moment. I was shocked. But within the blink of an eye, he disappeared from my sight. That morning at 9 a.m., our brother came into this world. It was a moment of great happiness for us. My mother's dream finally came true. By noon, my aunt arrived with her daughter, Tamana. Father took us to my aunt. We were meeting her after many years. Tamana was probably around my age. My aunt took all the responsibilities of the household into her own hands. Because of that, we sisters became completely relieved. The next day, mother returned home with our brother, but she was still not completely healthy. That same night, mother had to be taken to the hospital again. My aunt was with us. Many worries were going through my mind. Then suddenly, a phone call came. My aunt hugged me and started crying. My mother had left us forever. It was a huge shock. What happened? How it happened? I could not understand anything. Everyone from the family came. People were saying many things and criticizing. My father was completely broken. My sisters were scared and crying silently. And my little brother, that poor child, did not even know what had happened. My mother was buried in the Gulkibari Graveyard. After that, whenever we sisters went upstairs, we looked toward the graveyard and cried. Everyone advised my father to leave that house, but he no longer wanted to leave it. Maybe it was because my mother's grave was there. Sometimes people advised him to get married again, but he always refused. My aunt stayed with us for about a month, but one day, she also had to leave. That day, I comforted my father. I told him not to worry because I would handle the responsibilities of the family. I would also take care of my brother. I was the one who named my brother Murtaza. I really liked that name. My aunt left while crying. My father placed his hand on my head and prayed for me. After that, life became very difficult. My studies stopped halfway, but I educated my brothers and sisters and supported my father. Even then, I had become quite good at making bread. I used to make 2 extra pieces of bread and give them to the dogs outside. For a long time, this became my daily routine. When Murtaza grew up, he started giving the food to them himself. During all those years, many things happened that made me feel like some invisible power was helping me. Sometimes I was surprised myself. Later, when the broken wall was rebuilt properly, those dogs stopped coming there. And with that, our routine also ended. I never saw that boy again. However, many nights I suddenly woke up in fear. It was always the same feeling, as if someone was standing near my head. Sometimes I felt like sounds were coming from the graveyard, but no matter what sounds came from the graveyard, we completely stopped looking there. Slowly, that fear and those feelings disappeared somewhere with time. Eventually, the upper floor of our house was completed. A separate entrance was made, and it was rented out. My father tried a lot so that I could settle down and start my own family. He was very worried about my increasing age, but my marriage never happened. Whenever a proposal came, it somehow broke. Father did not want to arrange my younger sister's marriages before mine, but I convinced him. With happiness, I arranged my younger sister's marriages myself. I often had dreams. I would see that I was married and living in a separate house, but those were only dreams. A time came when only 3 of us remained in that house, me, Murtaza, and my father. A few years ago, when my father also left us forever, we buried him in the Gulkibari Graveyard as well. With time, the area around the graveyard became much more crowded. It was no longer like before. Finally, Murtaza sold that house. Everyone received their share, and he took me with him to Italy. Going to Italy was his dream, and that dream came true. And after coming to Italy, my dream also came true. Yes, after arriving here, Murtaza arranged my marriage with Zihan Ahmed. He was Murtaza's boss. After his wife passed away, he was living a lonely life. My dream was finally fulfilled. When and where things happen. Maybe all of this happened because of my father's prayers. Before leaving that house, I talked with the imam of the local mosque about everything. He told me that a Jinn had fallen in love with me, and that boy was actually the same Jinn. But for some reason, he could never come close to me. My father was a doctor. Maybe because of the prayers of many people, there was a good unseen creation with him that protected us. Perhaps even my father himself did not know about it. This was my story. Assalamu alaikum. With this, Sabid Alam ended the incident he shared with us. I hope you liked this story. If you enjoyed it, please let us know. We will return again with another true incident. Allah Hafez.